You were supposed to elevate the podcast, not destroy it.
You know me?
You were the chosen one.
I hate you!
Welcome to the Kindred Spirit Podcast, a show all about the board game Spirit Island. Here we'll talk about analytics and strategies within the game, as well as a plethora of other topics that can be found within it. Here as usual is me, Ryan, with my partner in crime, John.
Hey.
But that's not all. Today is a special episode because we have a special guest here today, Laura!
Hi!
Who is here to join us in our discussion of mistakes that we've made in the past, what house rules we like to implement for our own games, and how to teach the game better. I'm excited for this one. I think it's gonna be good.
We're dumb.
So many mistakes.
Oh boy, mistakes we've made in the past. We kind of have to roll down the curtain a little bit here, don't we? But hey, I think at some level, everyone has done it. I'm sure so many people have gotten this 100% more on like their third or fourth game.
How many pages are in the rule book?
Enough.
Too many.
It's like War and Peace.
Oh geez.
But
that's a
with
big
pictures.
rule book too. That's a big rule book too, though.
Yeah, but pictures help with that.
Pictures do help.
I actually was reading a review on BGG where the guy was like really critical of it, but he's like,
Yeah.
I love the rule book. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a weird party thing to like,
It's
guy.
very wide. And when I say it's a big rule book, I mean the literal size, not depth of pages or anything. Just like the width. It may be the widest rule book I've ever seen. There's a lot on there.
It's as big as the box.
It is as big as a box, quite literally.
I'm happy my wife's here to call out all the mistakes
I
I
know.
made. It's hitting too close to home.
She remembers every single one
She
of
never
them.
forgets.
This is payback for calling me a quarterback.
Oh no, she listened.
No, I'm. This is gonna be so weird because it's like, oh no, we've talked about Laura so many times. Now I have to quickly hide. Like,
We may have said you were pregnant on the show.
What? No.
Guess what, Mom?
They
don't listen to this.
Yeah, no, they would never listen to this.
Okay, boomers.
Boomers are.
Anyway, happy to have you on. This is kind of weird only because we've talked about you so many times, but you're like an integral part of this whole Spirit Island craze because you guys are the people who I have played Spirit Island with the most. And so it's like, hey, I get to have the other bit of the triangle here, so to speak. So I'm very, very eager to hear your input, and I just hope that you enjoy your time on the show. So
He said one of his favorable moments playing Spirit Island is when we invited him over for that 3-player game.
On our
Yeah.
anniversary.
No,
and that
not that
other one.
That's what we do.
Nope, wrong.
And the other one too. No, they were both
Wait,
fantastic.
no, our anniversary was
I
cool.
know.
We did things alone.
We do love this game so much that on our actual anniversary day of our 1 year of being married, we're like, let's have Ryan over to play Spirit Island.
That was,
And it was
I'm still
honestly
so
such a great
grateful.
time.
It was a
I'm
good
still
time.
so grateful that you
That was
guys
fun.
had me in there. I felt as if like, am I allowed to be here? Are you sure you guys want me here? So,
I think Corona added to the lack
Yeah.
of...
We'd also just seen each other all week and we're like, oh,
yep.
I think Corona
marriage
added to that as well.
lives.
This is starting to sound familiar. All right, so mistakes we've made in the past, regardless of the board game, I think it's pretty standard of an assumption that, you know, you're probably going to filch a thing here, you're going to filch a thing there. This is not a normal game. This is one that's very unique, that has a lot of interesting and brand new mechanics that I think most people don't experience normally. You know, some concepts that might go over your head, and if you're a new player, there's a lot that's being thrown at you. So it's okay if some things went over your head.
Are you just
I'm
defending
just here.
yourself for the
I'm here
major
to
power blow?
I'm
explain.
going to talk about that one because I'm still salty.
Major power blunder.
I was like, why
We
is
can
this such a
focus-
weird, stupid mechanic?
We
I don't
can
understand
focus
it.
on my faults first, if you like.
Let's
and then
do
we
it. Because that was a big
Don't
mistake.
judge me for the faults of my father.
Never mind that I habitually cheat by accident by not reading something correctly and realizing it 3 turns later and not telling the boys.
When
But
you continually say that it's an accident that you're cheating, it becomes less of an accident that you're just straight up cheating.
But you caught it a turn ago. It happened 2 turns ago. Just let sleeping dogs.
I let
fly.
things slide because
So-
I'm really bad at reading.
We didn't know that cards cost money.
What's this thing about reading?
Hey, no, I mean, I was playing with a friend who card play completely went in the ear and went out the other. And I remember it was like turn 4. And he was like, yeah, board's looking pretty good. And he was playing as River. I'm like, there's no way River can clear a board on turn 4. And so I know that he did something wrong, but I look at him, and in a positive way, I'm like, wow. that's really good, dude. How'd you manage? Yeah, well, I played this card and this card and this card. I'm like, that's pretty good with 2 card play.
He was playing Downpour, where you can repeat powers. Fool.
Ryan, you're so nice with people making mistakes. I'd be like, you're a dum-dum.
Yeah.
Guys,
Guys,
right
so
there.
I
pray
remember
for
that-
my life.
I remember that one time I was like, when you were turn 2, you were just like, yeah, I got this which boosts damage, and I was able to kill the city. I'm like, how in the world did you kill a city turn 2? That's really impressive. Well, I have this card that boosts its damage, and I'm like, so that's reaching grasp, that does range. Oh.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing, whatever. So we're just going to go around and talk about things that I don't know, I think it could be funny or fun to compare.
I'll
What
start.
did you get wrong versus...
I'll start with the big one. I messed up a lot.
I thought we were going to start with Ryan's.
No, I like saving him for the kicker. Save him.
Thanks.
Save the best for
Thanks,
last.
buddy.
I almost never, in the first 5 times playing, use Sacred Sights.
Did you really?
Are you for real?
I forgot that was a thing.
Well, 1 year of marriage was great.
She's
Is
walking.
nothing sacred to you?
Oh no!
Guys, I really thought this would be a good idea.
Majority of Ryan. I remember I'd be
pin this on me.
I would be playing Shadows and be like, "This guy's awesome."
Hate to burst your bubble.
And
but
with
it sucks.
lightning, I'd be like, "Lightning's incredible! I can spread out across the whole map." I think you brought up. You're like, "Did you do that on a Sacred Sight?"
I think I remember you asking me what that symbol meant. How come this symbol looks a lot bigger than the other
Looks
one?
like 2.
You
Is
mean
that?
that symbol that I've explained 5 games ago and
What's
have referenced
what's
repeatedly?
the oil drum? I forget. What's the oil drum? Oh, it's Sacred Sight. Cool. What's that? Isn't that like a present? Well, yeah, but it's when you have at least 2. Oh.
So anyway, I really like River now, everyone. Can we see why it's my favorite one? I think that was a big blunder for me.
There's so
I
many
remember that.
innate, so many
not know
power
that.
cards that stem from Sacred Sight.
Never cared once. I was just
Jeez.
like, I'm just gonna use it. Okay, this was first week of playing.
It's fine. Even in the rules, they say, oopsie, you just discovered that you were doing something wrong. That's fine. Just try to remember for the future and move on. It's too hard to go back and retroactively think how a turn would have gone. Just learn from it and move forward. Which I love that mentality, that approach. It makes it seem less guilty.
Yeah.
You don't feel as guilty when you see someone whose reaction to something that you made a mistake of is done like that. You can just be like, oh, okay, they're cool with that. I'll get better. And it's more towards you and personal responsibility as opposed to you did something wrong, punished, so.
I feel like that's part of what makes Spirit Island so good for people who are new to this type of game.
Yep.
If you're moving from playing Sorry and Monopoly into this world, the rules aren't so strict and stringent and, well, that's it. You've destroyed the whole thing if you mess up your Sacred Sights or something.
Eric's level-headed forgiveness vibe has oozed into this game, and I feel so much more chill because it's all right. You can just learn from it and move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's why I'm growing a ponytail.
But John, not on your face.
It's a front ponytail.
I didn't know you had a Fu Manchu.
Anyway, so one embarrassing mistake that I made, in my defense, well, I'll just explain. I'll let you guys be the judge. So for the longest time, I did not know that the Explore card was face down. At no point in the rulebook does it verbatim say you set up the Explorer deck face down. It just says you set up the Invader deck and, you can go and see the graphic on the next page. Well, when I was first reading it, I'm like, I'm not an idiot. I don't need a picture. I can just read this and I'm fine. Furthermore, I wasn't, for whatever reason, with all the information coming at me, I didn't see the whole, you flip the card face up and you just reveal it and go on to the next. I just, when you reveal it, it's just you look at what it is. I thought that it was flipped up the turn prior when you move the cards. So all this time, I was looking at the Ravage, the Build, and the Explorer, having perfect knowledge of where they were exploring. Furthermore, in my defense, that was back in 2017 when it was all new, and there can be a lot sometimes when you read a rule book and it's your first time. Maybe if you read it again. I wanted more clarification on how the powers were fast or how they were slow. So that's the kind of thing that I was looking up clarifications. I figured as if I had it. And then the biggest problem was when I saw other people review the game on YouTube or videos on tutorials on how to play it. Every single video I saw had it where the Explore card is face up. And yes, I know that I should look at the rule book and base the rules off of that, not someone's video. But when someone makes a video tutorial on a game, I just assumed that they were correct. And the guy whose video I saw, who I really liked, I had saved and rewatched that one over and over and over again, and he had described it where it's face up. So all this time, the Explorer card was face up, so I had more awareness with where the Explorer was. So this definitely made some characters, and will make some characters, a lot better. This is going to make Lure of Deep Wilderness a lot better. This is going to make Keeper of the Forbidden Wilds a lot better, because those are characters that need to prepare for various things. Lure needs to set up tokens to act before he can go and do damage
Wilds
there.
Tokens.
Oh,
Keeper
I don't know the new spirits very well.
Well, you know Keeper.
Yeah, Keeper can spit Wilds tokens.
You know Keeper.
Yep,
Love
and
Keeper.
anyone who does isolation really likes to know where they're going to go. Well, the thing is for 3 years, once I had an understanding of the game, it was my pride that thought, oh, I'm good. I don't need to look at the rule book. I got it down.
And then Steam came out.
And then Steam came out. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm embarrassed
Remember, we
to
played
admit.
Steam? Because you asked me the same thing.
I was supposed to be working. I played Spirit Island. I love Corona.
So I was embarrassed. I was like, hey, do you notice that on the Steam version of the game, the Explorer is face down, then it flips and explores?
Wait,
I
is
was
that
like,
the real way you're supposed to play it?
That's
Because
the
we have
real-
still in all of our 32 million plays have never played it that way.
So we're
Anyway.
getting in. There's
Are
a
we changing the way we play?
So there's a reason why the topic of house rules is immediately after mistakes we've made in the past.
Ooh.
So I looked at
We
those.
discredited this whole podcast.
I know. But don't worry, there was another thing that we did all this time that we also had a mistake on that made it much harder, and I feel as if it made it even. So, 2 things that made it harder, in fact. So I think it made it more than even. Anyway, but it wasn't until the Steam version where I saw the Explorer done correctly, and I was like, what? Because I thought that I knew how this worked. And sure, shame on me for relying on that video too much, I suppose. But like I said, when you watch a video, you assume that the other guy knows what he's talking about, right? And so I talked to you. I was like, did you notice on the Steam version?
Laura had the same question.
Yeah.
I was a complaint, actually,
I
about the Steam version.
And I was
'Cause
like,
that's annoying. I want to know.
was like, I do not like this. I like the other way better.
So let's defend it. I think how the game is set up, you are able to plan ahead with the conveyor belt strategy of seeing what is going to happen next.
Right. As a mythical being of elemental energy, as a spirit, you have some kind of form of omniscience. No, it's not pure omniscience, but you have a little bit. You know where they're gonna go, kind of. And it fit the lore for me, and it fit the thematic emphasis of the game that you do know where people are going to go. This isn't a random game. If I wanted that, I'd play Pandemic. So that's why in this game, it feels weird for me that events add such randomness to me, and we talked about that a few episodes ago. And this just felt more in line to the foundational understanding that I had with the game, that you do know where they're going to explore. Because even if you do know where they're going to go, there's a difference between knowing where they're going to go and being able to do something about it. So, sure, they're going to go and explore sands this turn. Guess what? 9.9999999 times out of 10, when I see the Explorer, there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it, except when I'm maybe Keeper and I spit a token that way. So I feel as if the game hasn't changed too much
Difficulty-wise.
with it being revealed in the way that we've played it.
See, I think thematically it makes a ton more sense that it's revealed as they're doing the Explorer. Because they aren't omniscient spirits. They can
No, I
see
know.
where the little white people went, but they don't know. The white people, I feel like, are sitting there kind of thinking, all right, where are we going to go next? And they're like, all right, let's just go explore that spot. And then, boom, they pop up. So I think it makes more sense.
Who invited her?
Hey, I don't want to play it that way. I like easy.
No.
But
The semi.
I think it makes more thematic sense that they just
To me, it
unheralded.
makes sense for both the semi-niscience you have, because since you're not
Semi-niscience. I like
because you're not omniscient, that's why you can see 3 ahead, not 6 ahead. Which is the exact same rationale why you can see 2 ahead, not 4 ahead. So where the line is drawn 2 versus 3, 3 versus 4.
It does make Fractured Time better because he can look at the Invader deck.
But
I was about to say that. They should have a spirit who's able to, like, look at the Explorer and be like, hey, guys, they're going to go here.
And that's
a
Fractured
thing.
Days.
Yeah.
Yep.
See?
Yep,
Thematically,
Fractured
it makes
Days.
more sense.
And can look
Yep.
at the
Maybe we
Invader.
should change the way we're playing.
Is this an intervention?
We're working a few things out, guys. Come back next season when we talk about the real game. No. So
Other
one thing
mistakes.
that we did though was Source of Invaders. This guy that I watched also doomed me in another way. A Source of Invaders was literally any invader piece, including explorers.
Yeah.
That's not the case. A Source of Invaders
do that at
is
the
the
beginning.
coast, the ocean, or a building. Well, we didn't play that way. We played that one explorer is a source of invaders. So whenever we played, yes, we had the Explorer card face up, but every single invader, including Explorers, were a source of invaders. So Explorers were causing other buildings to be built or explored. An Explorer could trigger another Explorer.
Which made it harder.
Which made it a lot harder, which means that when I saw the true actual rules, I was like, you know what? I'm okay with this. Because we have one thing that was making it easier, and we had two things making it harder. And what I just described was one of the ways that made it harder. The other thing that made it harder was, as you can see now, I watched this video repeat on repeat way too many times. And I've learned my lesson to fact check with more than one YouTube reviewer. But hey, like I said, I'm sure you all had something wrong too. So let us know in the comments what yours was. You're not perfect. You know it. So
let's talk about this other way.
So the other one is power cards. The guy whose video I saw said that whenever you gain a minor power, you just add it to your hand. Cool. No limit on minor powers. Done. That's easy. That's not what we had a problem with. It was the major powers. This guy said that your character can only have 4 major powers, and since you have your starting hand of 4, all of your original 4 are major powers. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. So the guy said whenever you gain a new major power, you must forget another. And so this guy was talking about you must forget another major. Also, there was this implication that you must forget one of your starting ones.
Because those are the only major powers you had at the time. And I remember at that time thinking,
at the time,
this is a weird, I don't understand why these are the 4 cards that make me unique. Why do I have to get rid of them?
Right.
I was still trying to figure out Sacred Sites, so I was not on that level.
We were on 2 different planes at that moment.
What it actually is when you gain a new major power card, yes, you have to forget a card, but it doesn't have to be another major, nor does it have to be one of your starters. It could be a minor, and it can also be the new power you just acquired. So if you draw 4 from a major power deck, you're like, okay, I don't like this first one, I don't like the second one, the third, and wow, I don't like any of these.
These are crap.
I would rather have my current hand. You can just set those 4 down and take none of them. Because technically how it works is you pick one and then you discard one. So the one that you just picked is your new one, just discard your new one. I didn't know that. So
thanks, Steam version.
So what I would always do is I was looking at my hand and I tried to find for myself my least favorite starting card.
Which for Shadows was easy because it's any of them.
I mean, for most, true.
Crops, Wither, and Fate is good.
For most of them, there's one that you're like, this is kind of stupid. Like that Bringer of Dreams and Nightmares one where we're always like, I don't know how you play this. This is dumb. Ignore it.
So yes. Is that the one where you gain a minor? Gain a major?
I can't even figure it out in Steam.
So there are a few cards that maybe aren't the best in your starting hand, but at least they typically give you the elements you need.
True.
So now that I have this correct understanding of it, I haven't gotten rid of any of the cards from my starting hand, like, ever.
For Lightning, I usually get rid of Raging Storm, because it costs too much,
Yeah, 3 energy, that's terrible
But
energy.
It usually happens, like, further on in the game when you've got lots of other good cards, and you're like, I'm not really using this one. Bye.
Yep. Harbingers of Lightning is the one I usually get rid of.
Did you figure that out by playing Steam? Which one of you figured that out?
I think we had a conversation through our texting.
Forgot.
I questioned it because I was like, hey, I was able to get rid of a minor.
And I think I looked
up... That was in Steam, right?
And I think I looked up in the rulebook, but I don't remember the rulebook saying it with such strict clarification that made it super clear. And then it was, well, the Steam version, was made, by the company, so the way they're doing it is probably more accurate than the way I'm doing it.
Computer rules.
Yeah, and kind of the same with Sentinels of the Multiverse. Once you play the Steam game a few times, you really get an understanding of how the game works. So those were the mistakes that I made. The Explorer card face down, the Explorers actually not being a source of invaders, and the whole gaining major powers. Those were the ones that I had. Everything else I was doing just fine.
I just thought they were like reproducing other Explorers. I thought this was like a little man and a lady and starting a town and sprouting little kidlet Explorers with little flags.
What a wonderful hermaphrodite.
They just come out from their tent.
Yeah. Anyway,
so what other
time for Laura's mistake?
I mean, I already talked about my minor things. Is I don't pay attention very well, so then I'd be like, I'm gonna do these things, and then oh shoot, that only had range of 0 or whatever. I'm really bad with range 0, and then you're like, ooh, well. But usually I'll notice it, and then I'm like, well, I won't play it that way for the rest of the game.
Or the recognition of a certain symbol, and like, what does that mean again? Oh, that means this kind of token. I have no idea what that token does. Is this the one that prevents this? No, that's this token. Oh.
What Ryan's describing was not my problem, but sure.
I can read.
It's funny. I seem to remember someone saying, "Give me the back of the book. I have no idea what these are."
Oh, that was one time. We just got Branch and Claw. It was fresh.
And it was a little tricky at first.
And that person had a ponytail.
It was on his
face. It was you. No, it's fine. It's.
No, I mean that was, I guess, like.
No, well, Branch and Claw.
Trying to figure out the new.
Well, that was like the first time you've done Branch and Claw
yeah,
too. So.
We've all made mistakes.
Anyway, I'm curious to hear what you guys done. It's different for everyone, I think. Like I said, I was playing with one guy who just the whole card play thing went whoop. Just and he's like, I heard you. I remember that. I just completely didn't do it.
We did play with a friend who thought when it was reclaimed cards, like you played that he thought you reclaimed one card. So the poor guy kept reclaiming one card. But that was kind of funny.
I can just hear him now.
It was his first game.
He was very weak.
I can hear him now. So which one do you think I should get back, guys? Because I can do this one, I can do this one.
I think that's how we figured it out. He was like, guys, which one should I reclaim? And I'm like, well, all of them.
Well,
yeah, I'd like to if I can, but which one? No.
No.
I mean, wait. Do you really think you bring one back?
And I explained him those rules, so I'd be on mine.
But that again, when you're first learning the game, there's just
a lot.
so
it's a
many
lot. This is not an easy game.
Yeah.
It's worth putting the time in, but it can be the learning curve can be steep for some. So, moving on to house rules. Well, one of the house rules we like to have is to have the Explorer card face up. How about that? Maybe because we were habitually conditioned to always having it up and we preferred that.
We're gonna get roasted in the comments.
Well, now I want to play with it down just because you guys like it up. But no, like honestly, that does sound like more thematically real. Whoops.
Family show. All right.
But no, I really do like playing it that way. Guys, if you haven't played with the Explorer card face up, it didn't even feel as if it was too easy. It really felt as if the game was still normal and fine. I didn't feel as if we were doing something out of place. It didn't feel weird. It didn't feel like we were doing something wrong. It really felt normal. I didn't even know it was wrong. I thought that was the standard because of how well it fit. Yeah. Well, I can see where they're ravaging. I can see where they're building. Why can't I see where they're exploring? It just made sense to me, but whatever. That's fine. We move on.
If you want randomness, play with the event deck.
Yeah, if we wanted randomness, we play with the event deck.
True.
Anyway, what are your thoughts on that? I know John's.
What, the event deck?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Sometimes I really like it. Sometimes I want to burn them all.
So you're just like us. Okay.
Kind of goes back and forth.
A week ago, we just played with the event deck.
I didn't mind the event deck that time.
Well, it made us blight the island for doing nothing wrong.
But we had the best blighted island card, so screw you, game.
Lesser Spirits.
Aid from Lesser Spirits.
Yeah,
that's one of the two.
Heavy.
We were very fortunate.
We were. Sometimes I like that randomness of, yay, the things do stuff. But remember when you were playing Beast and your whole entire population got decimated? That happened to me, but it was like late game, so I'm like, I've already done all my things. I'm just waiting for Keeper to finish this game.
I'm really curious to see what new events and what new blight cards we're getting. I wonder if we're getting more than just two good ones. Because there's Aid from Lesser Spirits and there's Back Against the Wall. Those are the only two good ones. Sure, there are a few just pure bad ones, but there are a lot of ones that do a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. So it's like, okay, that's fine. Some of them are like, you lose a presence every single turn. That's it. Like, what? What?
Or you just lose 3.
How the heck can you win? I'd rather have that one than lose one every turn.
I think if they had more good blight cards in there, then you might be less afraid of blighting the island. More like, it's a gamble.
Right. I mean, that's just crushing.
It is.
The ones where it's just like you lose one.
And
you have a choice. You either forget a power card or you lose a presence every turn.
Actually, don't mind that one as much compared to the one the other.
I don't. Yeah, the one where you just lose presence every turn is ridiculous. Now, it would be a lot better if you could heal the island from blighted to healthy.
I wonder if a Spirit Well would be able to do that.
That's something I would like. I have done beginner games where we can do that.
Okay.
Which is we can heal enough blight where if you heal all the blight from the land, it flips back to its original side.
I like that.
That was a beginner-friendly training wheels rule I had instated for this one game because I was playing with two guys who had never played before, and one of them was playing with Wildfire. He said, "I really want to play this guy." I'm like, "Okay." And I mean, it's Wildfire. It's Mr. a guy's first game. Yeah. I want him to like the game, and if he likes it, then we can make the game harder from there. I don't want to be.
One is so inviting, and then the gameplay is not. You get into it and you're like, wait, I'm doing what now?
He's a risky boy. Hey, play Wildfire without a blight card, and his enjoyment factor spikes.
True.
Seriously. That said, I want to get better with a Wildfire. I want to test him on higher difficulties.
I'll play Stone.
Yeah, there you go. Well, the thing is killing people quick might be a really nice boon in the fact that there's not as many bad guys showing up because there's a city that's already dead on turn 2 or 3. So, I don't know. We'll see. But then again, you are issuing your own demise a bit quicker, so you're just a little bit risky. But he risks it for everyone. But we'll see. That can be another topic. So here is one that I think a lot of people could benefit from, and that is how to make Spirit Island more understandable. How to teach the game better. Make beginners understand all of its things easier. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts on this are, because you've had to teach it now a few times, because I'm the one who taught you guys, and I made mistakes, and my mistakes helped you guys also make wrong choices, because since I had a faulty understanding of something, but I taught that to you, now you have a faulty understanding, but it's not your fault that you have the faulty understanding. It's actually my fault because I'm the one who told it to you. So even though you might
We blame a lot of problems in our marriage on you.
That's true.
Yep.
Wait, what?
Why isn't the garbage taken out? Well, Ryan's not here. What? He didn't teach me how to do that.
Ocean isn't here to gobble up your filth.
S-tier Ocean.
So, when I teach a board game, I have 3 questions that I answer right off the bat. And that is what, why, how. What is the game? Why am I doing this? How can I get it done? And that is exactly what I did for A, teaching you guys this board game, and B, how I even started this podcast. I started with what is it, why am I doing it, and how are we going to continue? That formula has done me well, and I think it's really good as an approach for someone to get just enough out of the box, big scope scale, and then let's go into the specifics in a methodical way that's understandable, that builds on everything I just told him, or her, or whoever you're teaching. So what is Spirit Island? It is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players set on a fictional island somewhere in the Pacific in the 1700s. And the European powers are in their expansionistic empirical times. And they are searching for new lands to explore. And for whatever reason, the explorers of these European nations have found Spirit Island. And they are enticed. They're like, wow, this place is cool. So they go and send people back and say, hey guys, we found a place. Let's colonize it. Cool. Then everyone comes back and Spirit Island is now starting to get visited by European peeps. And now there are new people coming onto the island. And on this island, there are a native nation of people, fictional nation of people who live there, and they're called the Dahan.
I've heard that pronounced like a billion ways.
Really?
Yeah.
Dahan?
Dahan or something?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, like a super
Ew.
nasally one.
The Dean.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've heard of like
The Don?
Dohan or something.
Like the soap you have on a duck
The
who
Huts.
just got...
The Huts.
Duds.
I've heard mushroom
Just
people.
the huts.
Really?
I've heard mushroom people.
Oh,
The
that's
little
cute.
shroom.
Yeah.
Little toadstools.
So I've heard.
Anyway,
Toadstool.
so
That's what we're calling them from now
these
on.
European
Toadstool?
invaders...
Toadstools.
I don't
These
think the word
Europe-
stool would be a good word for any descriptor.
You know, I spent
Stool.
way...
We bring on Laura, she brings on the poop joke.
No! You were supposed to elevate the podcast, not destroy it!
You know me.
You were the chosen one!
I hate you!
Hey, our first Star Wars reference! Right on!
Revenge of the Sith.
John, you just quoted a prequel movie.
Is prequel better than the sequels?
Yep, anyway, so
Return
these
the Jedi
European...
garbage.
These
They had Jar Jar
European...
Binks, though.
Ooh.
These European movies are now coming and meeting this native nation called the Dahan for the first time. The Dahan, they once, a long time ago, moved to the island, and so when they see these new people, these new humans coming to the island, they're kind of conflicted. Some of them say, no, we don't want new people here. Some of them are like, well, I don't know. We kind of were like that once. Maybe we should help them. And so what's interesting, what I always tell players, new people, is you don't play as the colonizing people, nor do you play as the people who are already there. You play as the spirits these guys worship, and you have no such reservations about the invaders. You're like, get off my land! And that's when really the first hook of the game shows up. You're not the one who's colonizing the land. That is what most games you would be doing. You are the people coming in, establishing buildings, Settlers of Catan. You're coming in, you're building roads, building towns, building cities, all this stuff. You're not them. You're not even the resistance of the original natives here. You're the spirits that they worship. And the more that they worship you, the more presence you have, the stronger you get. What a unique premise. What a unique, whoa, that's cool. Already the new player has this idea in his mind that this is something that is really different. That you are big, that you are more than just, oh, I'm playing as a character. No, you are a spirit. You are bound to one of the elements. You are really powerful. You can make the land shake. You can cause tsunamis. You can do these cool things. things. Whoa, it's crazy.
And Ryan didn't let us choose our spirits our first game because he thought we were dumb.
No, actually, I 100
Come
support.
on.
He gave us the low complexity spirits.
What?
I support choosing spirits for people the first time they play because there are so many, and you end up with somebody who's playing Bringer of Dreams and Nightmare on their first play and being like, what in the heck is happening here?
Yeah, your poor brother.
Like, if the people are really drawn to one, let them play whatever they want. But I appreciate when it's like, you know what, I kind of know you, and maybe some of the way that you like to play. Here's River, here's just maybe one of the low complexity spirits to get your first attempt at this game.
We were playing this with a couple, and you gave the wife River because you thought that it would benefit her, or she would cling to it better.
Actually, I think you were the one who suggested that because I thought lightning for her.
I hate lightning for beginning players. Sorry.
What?
Low complexity. I don't know. I don't play lightning very much.
Lightning is considered the easiest guy in the game.
No, I don't like. They never comprehend slow powers as
my dad
fast
played lightning
powers.
for his first turn, and he got it pretty quick. But you're right. River worked really, really well.
Your father's
for
a mechanical
her.
engineer. I would hope he gets it right.
My daddy's a Renaissance man.
I'm just here recording a podcast.
No, I appreciate that Ryan took the time to think through which spirit
Well,
would
I
be
know
best
you
suited
guys,
for
and I
us.
feel as if I could accurately better predict and allocate which guy is going to give you a smooth experience as an entry point in the game. Where you want to go from there, all you. But just something...
Exactly. Because it's a lot to deal with. So if you're also trying to figure out
and then
like,
there's some of
the weird mechanics, you're like,
there's the
"Whoa."
mechanics of the game that are very different. So anyway, after I describe the what, that it's an island, people are coming on the island, and you're trying to defend it, boot them off. Why? Well, I guess I kind of already said the why. The why is, this is your island. You want the nature to be undisturbed.
Yeah.
You are
Not
willing...
blighted.
You are willing to coexist with humans so long as the humans show a willingness to exist with you and respect your territories, find ways that don't offend you, cultivate their own villages and crops in ways that aren't offensive to the land. But you see, Europe doesn't do that. They make big, sprawling, expansionistic farms and stuff. And they are just terraforming your land, and you hate it, and you need them gone. Why are you reacting? Because they are disturbing the balance. You see, with the Dahan, the natives, you've reached a balance of living. But these invaders, they're not balancing. Nor are the invaders completely honorable in their intentions, because they are going and they're attacking Dahan, even though the Dahan are kind of favorably minded towards them. So
It's almost like real life.
Wait, what? Why are all the invaders white?
They're plastic.
That's usually what I start off with. The white guys are bad, and you're playing God.
Notice how everything that
Our
is
conservative friends love this game.
So, ever notice how all the bad guys are square and white, and everyone who's a good guy is circular and colorful? Like, colored
I'm
and
not sure
round?
I'd call khaki a color, but...
It's
not
colored!
white.
So, anyway. So the why. The why. The invaders are coming in, they're damaging the balance, and you need them off. So then how? How do you win? Well, this is where you explain to new players the win conditions and the loss conditions. This is a game that has multiple win conditions and has multiple loss conditions. Right there, that will intrigue many players, I think. A lot of games will have 1 or 2 lose conditions, but only ever 1 win condition. You can win from A, terror, or B, fear. If you go and kill literally every single person on the board...
You win.
You win. That is a terror victory. You have killed enough people that they're out of there. A fear victory is if you get all 9 fear cards. You completely exhaust the fear deck. Yes, I know with various difficulty things you can increase how many cards are in that fear deck, but completely exhausting the fear deck, you didn't kill enough people. You just were so scary that it was enough for them to be frightened to leave.
That's what I like about the Steam version. In Victory, they have this little blurb of like, you have terrified the invaders. They've retreated to the shores.
It's like
and
a pat on the back.
Set sail. Yeah, it's a nice little like ending conclusion.
It's a good send-off.
Blurb. Yeah.
Yep.
You avoided a bloody massacre. Good job.
I don't think it's ever said that.
Not yet, but it's still in early access. So,
It is. Bring
like-
us multiplayer. Sorry. Whoa, where'd that come from?
Anyway, so those are the victory conditions. That's how you win. From there, I usually go on to describe an aspect of the game that some new players don't quite understand right off the bat. And so to help them, I clarify the following point right at the beginning. That point being that there are 3 factions in this game. There are invaders who are 100% bad. There are spirits who are 100% good. And then there are Dahan who are somewhere caught in the middle. You are not the Dahan. You can influence them, you can buff them, you can use them, but they have their own thing that you and them need to get in concert with as far as your actions in order to work together and fight off the invaders. So you are not the Dahan, but they are a very useful tool if you choose to use them.
Yeah.
But some people, some spirits don't really care about them. And that makes really interesting gameplay with spirits who do care about them. And that's something that's very unique, I think, with new players. Because they're thinking, okay, so the invaders, the guys coming onto the board are the bad guys. Usually in games, that's who you would play as. But we don't play as them. We need to fend them off. And furthermore, we don't even play as the Dahan either. So these are our little dudes. We play as these guys. Close. Those guys are friendly, but we don't play as them. Those are the Dahan. They have their own thing.
There's going to be a lot of questions.
Yep.
From
so
new
there
players.
are 3 factions in this game, not just 2.
I think before we get into like common questions, because obviously me and my wife play this game a lot. More often than not, because of my failures in teaching, Laura ends up teaching.
Okay.
So I was wondering, like, after hearing how he did his like top 3, what do you see? How do you teach it, Laura?
Yeah. My goal is usually to get them playing ASAP. I'm the sort of person who skips all the cutscenes in video games. I just want to blow things up. I don't care why.
Yikes! Never play Last of Us.
Yeah. Exclusively Ratchet and Clank. But I'm always like, I don't care, whatever. Now I'm here, cool. I get to use my grappling hook, awesome, let's go.
We are the exact opposite. I love storylines.
You do. You got mad about a storyline for a game you don't even play.
Stop.
It was really cute.
Which one? I'm curious.
Last of Us 2.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me about it.
No,
because I'm going through the first one. Anyway,
okay.
So, but yes, this dynamic you bring up is the constant debate between 2 approaches to teaching a game. Option A, you just learn the game by doing it. Get in there, I'll learn as I go. Versus, I'm going to tell you everything before the game starts so that from the game start, you can make efficient choices because you know how it all works.
But when we learned it that way, I wanted to quit before we started
playing.
You struggle with that.
Oh, I struggle so hard.
It's better for different people. Each one has its pros. Each one has its cons. So, I was just clarifying that approach that you're doing is the former, where mine is the latter.
You don't just like throw them to the wolves.
Oh, no. But my goal is, what is like the basic thing that they need to know? Because going into it, you're like, I know so much about this game. Well, not me personally, because I know less than either of you. But
you know a lot.
The teacher knows so much and like has so much experience with all the different mechanics, all the different everybody. But you really have to think this is a new person playing this game, and they're gonna retain like 25% of what you're telling them if you tell them too much. The more you tell them, kind of like the less they're going to really remember. So I try and kind of really boil it down to like what's the basics you need to know in order to get started, and then let's ask questions and point things out as we go. Like if you show me a card and you're like, here's 5 different strategies, I want to murder you by the time I've heard one. Like just let me play the game and ask questions and find things out. So we kind of go more kind of like on Ryan's track, but just maybe shortened version.
There are a few variable factors included here. One is significantly easier for co-op games. One of them is absolutely unacceptable for PvP games. Learn as you go is unacceptable for PvP games.
Because you have an advantage.
Because you have an advantage. You will wipe out a guy with an ultimate. He's like, you can do that? Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't tell you.
I've literally played games with people like that.
And
that is really low. That is why on PvP games it is really
still bitter about that Scythe game.
Very important that everyone knows what they can do. Co-ops is so much easier to explain as you go. Hey, can I see your cards? No, this is a PvP game. Well, I have a question on my card. Well, I can't look at it for you, but it's
so true. And that's where in this we have the luxury of being like, we're going to work on this together. Yep. I'm going to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing, or maybe you're going to, like, I'm going to ask you, what are you planning on doing here? You can't, because see this, remember, this is range, and you're range 0.
It's one of the reasons why co-ops are so much more enjoyable for me, because it bridges the gap between noob and pro a lot better, because the pro can come alongside the guy. See, I can look at your hands because we're on a team. Okay, you're going to want to do this one. You're going to want to do this one. Cool. Versus PvP, where it's like, all right, play a card. Oh, you can't do that one. Oh, sorry. He puts it back in his hand. Now I know what he has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I'm already figuring out the way to rock, paper, scissors, the thing I know he was about to do.
Even if you're trying not to.
Right.
Which brings up an interesting point that I think you wrote down, John, is when you're then playing it with that new person, because you're the experienced person, that's where you can really easily quarterback, which is a thing that, as John pointed out, I do like to do. I have like 2 modes. I'm either bored and reading a book while we're playing, or I'm trying to meddle in everybody else's affairs.
Yep.
But
I like slow, methodical games. And yeah, we did play Euchre one time, and you wrote what kind of book you were reading?
It was a Russian novel, and he was talking about all of the city streets that he was walking down and their windows and stuff. And
Apparently
then his brother made my sister cry. It was a great night.
Probably that was more interesting than the card game. Streetlights. Anyway,
I'm learning a lot today. Anyway,
but like when you're a new person, you still have to give them the autonomy to make their own plays, and you can give them advice.
Yep.
But it's so easy to try and like play for them because you're like, oh, but if we do this and this and this, it's a better move.
Yep. In one of our earliest episodes, we described how, in our honest opinion, Spirit Island, the way it's foundationally structured, is one that is anti-alpha gaming. Because it's so hard to remember what your own guy can do and how much you have on your plate that it's very rare that you're going to look at someone else's. No, you want to play that card. You want to do this. You want to do this. You don't know what that guy has on his plate. You're not even on his board, you know.
Even if you know the starting cards of a spirit, you don't know what they picked up or remember their minor powers and major and all that stuff.
Right.
Agreed. But this is where I think you give that one time where you really actively, you're like, I want my friend to do a good job, and I want to make sure that she's not cheating on this. So that's like the one time when you're like really kind of playing with them.
In Spirit Island's case, with the whole teaching the game in its entirety, pretty much, before playing as opposed to learning as you go, there is such a wealth of thematic and lore knowledge that's lost if you just completely go in. Sure, that is an assumption on my part, where someone maybe once a game is over, they can look at the back of their dude. Oh, this guy, he goes with the Dahan. That's why he's flickering like flame. Oh, okay.
Some people just absolutely do not care about lore in the slightest. And if I know that the person I am teaching is one of these kind of people, I will skip the lore entirely and do game mechanics only. Besides, lore is at its most enjoyable to someone when they want to explore it for themselves on their own time, not when it's shoved down their throat when they just don't care.
Yeah, definitely read the synopsis.
The other approach is right, and
the little talk, but it's just like kind of quick because
I'm just saying this incentivizes me to do the latter of those two strategies instead of the former.
You know what I like to do? I like to have everyone read their power card before they use it. I think that's kind of cool. Keeping the lore,
especially with a new person.
And they're
Agreed.
like, I think the name is a cool thing. And we play with someone's like, can I see that art? And they just like stared at the artwork and stuff.
And we make sure like we call all the things the correct things. We don't actually call them the toadstools when it's with a new person. You know, it's the Dahan, and they keep being the weird things. You're like, it's the Dahan.
My biggest defense of why I prefer the extensive explanation method, this is my biggest pet peeve of the learn as you go approach. In PvP environments, the person is not engaging in strategies they actually could have but didn't know it. But B, it's unfair to the teacher to reteach something again and again and again because, what's this thing again? What's this thing? You do it like that. I said it like 4 times. Okay, I'm sorry, what was this thing? It's like this. And it requires patience on your end. Yep. That's going to be a struggle for the teacher. But the mentality where at least you listen, sure, it may have taken a bit longer. I only had to say it once, not 10 times. Because once you know the why, the what is so much easier to remember. But that is A, my opinion, and B, not how everyone learns. So that's just my stance on it. That's all. So like I said, I like to do the former. For me, that's how it was approached, and that's how I loved it. Now, I'm not saying that the way I came to love the game is not nearly the way that you have to learn the game and how you have to figure out how it works. What is it? If you want to go deeper, go for it. You know, but there's whole pages in the book that's all about the history of adversary. It's about what happened to the island.
Really cool.
The Reckoning. What is the Reckoning? What's the second Reckoning? I don't know what that's talking about. It's in the book. It's in the rule book. It's cool. So anyway, another thing that's really unique that this game has is that fear and terror are good things. That is something I don't think a new player is going to immediately think of. When you hear fear, when you hear terror, that's a bad thing because in real life, that's scary. Yeah. But that's a good thing. Fear is what gets you more cards. Terror is a win condition that actually makes you win the game. You are the ones terrifying the bad guys. You get to be the scary big monster. That's really cool. Fear and terror, those are good things. You want that. That's something that, that's pretty cool.
The whole game kind of puts everything on its head.
Right, but normally, that's not something that is a good thing. But now it is. Then you have fast and slow powers. Wait, how does that work again?
That always takes a while for people to really...
What is that?
That is why I don't like people playing lightning. Yeah. Because it kind of negates the slow power.
Well, I think it's really good to help learn what the formula is and then play someone who tweaks that formula. As opposed to, this guy tweaks the formula, and now you're used to it, And now you think that everyone can act like Lightning because he's the guy that cheated that thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why Lightning can be harder for a new person.
For me, Lightning was my first guy I played as, and I had it just fine. But I'm also someone who plays board games like every other weekend, so to me it wasn't
this type
easier.
Of board games.
And you read the rule book, where if you're being explained to you, you don't have the rule book in front of you, but that is something you like to do.
I love reading the rule book myself. I love it. I learn. People
so much
talk
better
to me
with
in one ear, out
visual
the other.
learner.
I'm a visual learner. You give me Google, and I teach myself anything. So I like hearing here's the general idea, but then here's the rule book.
Maybe we should do that more in teaching. Have the rule
Very
book
accessible.
Yeah, just available for people to see.
It does cycle back to there's a lot in the rule book, so it can be very overwhelming.
That's true. Right.
As a
Get some
first
time
person,
to read it.
if we had just tried to sit down and teach ourselves Spirit Island, I don't think we would have been able to. We really needed Ryan to lay it out for us.
But it's really interesting that this isn't a game where John's turn, my turn, your turn, Invaders, John's turn, my turn. It's not clockwise. We're all acting at the same time. Simultaneous turns. Every single person that I talked to when I was teaching this game that learned that it was simultaneous turns went, oh, ooh.
What is one thing that bores you the most, Laura?
Other people's turns.
Waiting.
But
you hate waiting.
I hate waiting. It's always just enough time for me to get involved in Candy Crush or whatever.
But what's really interesting is you go first, then the bad guys, then you again. You bookend the bad guys. And that's something that most games don't do. It's like my turn, his turn, my turn, their turn.
And there's such a strategy there.
Right. And the way that you can layer your actions, I'll do my thing, then so-and-so does theirs, then John will do his thing later. We all three of us have a fast power. Which one goes first? Let's talk about it. See which one. Okay, I can do this. Does this conflict anything? Nope. What about this? Here, let me do this one first because of this reason. Oh, okay. That thing happens.
That's my favorite part of the game is the
table talk.
The growth phase discussion.
Yep.
The
teamwork that this game beckons is so awesome. You really feel as if you're solving a problem together.
And that's why I'm actually starting to like the event deck more.
Yeah.
Because that also, again, re-triggers discussion. Where usually, sometimes you have a choice between a bad or a worse option.
Get out of my house.
Yeah. Leave. But I think it's cool where, we talked about it in Second Wave when we were playing that campaign with you, Ryan. We would discuss a lot about these events. We'd all talk about, how much blight, how many towns, how much present.
It's like a 5-minute conversation of, okay, let's see what option 1 does, all of its ramifications. Let's see what option 2 does, all of its ramifications. Now let's see which one we like best, which one we don't like.
He says 5-minute discussion. He means 40-minute, and I think we ought to have a timer sometimes.
What? Oh, come on.
We want a chess timer.
Well, but remember there was that one time where I was getting super bored because we were playing it during Corona,
was
and it
the
was
Dahan's. It was the
and
farmer's Zeke
oh my
Dahan
gosh,
parade
let's
car.
just do the one thing. But then we
And
realized that one thing that I was like, let's just do it. I'm so bored. Would have been really bad, and the other option was the better one. And Ryan playing out
butchered my
everything.
beasts. You were Ocean.
No,
You're like,
it
it's
wasn't
fine.
that one. We were just trying to decide, and we ended up doing the right thing.
A lot of the longer playtimes we've had were because of telecommunication over Zoom.
Yep.
So
hey, that was fun.
That was fun. Those
good.
were some 7-hour
long
games.
discussions.
7-hour games.
But yeah, the fast versus slow powers, that's something I don't think will come super naturally to a new player. Also, card restriction and legalities. That's something that's interesting because it's not only it's fast and slow, it's also where it's from, where it's going, what's the range, does it need a sacred site to cast?
What
yes
type
or no?
of terrain?
Does it need to be a jungle? Does it need to be an inland land? What about the coast? There are a slew of things where people are like, oh, I can do this. And I see, I'm like, I can't go.
And then some of the and versus or.
And
well,
so
no,
you
can't
simply
do both of those things. You got to pick.
And so the way I describe all of these things is your card is speaking to you in a certain language that's telling you when it can be used. And I'm going to explain these 3 boxes in the middle that simply tell you the 3 things you need to know. First, how fast is it? Slow or fast? It's going to be one or the two. There will never be anything that's besides those two. It's either fast or it's slow. Then the middle box shows you the range, and you describe the range. You describe that 0 means in a land that you were in, and if there's a number, that means it's up to that number. So it can be any number that is less than that number or that number. So if it says 2, then that means it's 0, 1, and 2. If you see this symbol, this means sacred site, John. This means that you need to have at least 2 presents there.
I was so powerful.
Sometimes there may be a little graphic of a certain kind of land. It needs to come from this land. The range box is always telling you where it's coming from. The last one is always showing you where it's going to. So whether...
Do you fear of overwhelming someone though? Because at this point, this is so much to retain.
Now I pre-filter who I play this game with. And I only play with people who I think can handle it. So if I've deemed them worthy of it, I think they're good.
We did play this with one couple, and the husband left to just like go be with the baby and just gave up on the game. He's like, I'm just gonna put the baby to sleep and never return.
Oh dear.
Or my poor mom hung on and was playing with us because she wanted to, participate.
She has a heart of gold.
And it was so awesome, but Mom loves euchre, but...
This was...
Euchre, Spirit Island.
It was difficult.
My dad's over there blowing things up, and Mom's like, which card do I play again?
I can see your dad now.
It was really sweet.
Okay, so I'm going to go and do this here.
Oh, he was getting so into it.
Dude, he was really good as lightning.
But
that's hilarious. So, anyway, I just think that the restrictions on legalities can be a hiccup to some players. But when you're playing a board game with your friends, you know your friends, and you can generally know what they can handle. So if you're playing Spirit Island with a group of specific individuals, you probably know that this is either A, going to be a problem or not going to be a problem. So use your judgment. Use your judgment. I thought you guys were totally capable of doing this. If you can take Scythe without a hitch.
Oh, there was a hitch.
Multiple, maybe a few hitches. If you can do that, you can probably do just fine.
And I think that some of that goes back to also... Do they really love the lore, or are they more interested in the mechanics?
Sure. Yep.
So some of that just...
Yep.
That's a good point. Some people...
If it's a bunny, do it now.
Yeah.
It's a bird, but
Oh, whatever.
Tortoise.
Bird and turtle.
Bird and turtle.
Tortoise.
So another thing that a lot of people I've seen grasp a little bit more difficult than other things were the fact that bad guys only go to certain places at certain times. This means that there can be a ton of bad guys on the board and yet you are still fine. Why? Because they're only going to wetlands. Where are all the bad guys? Our wetlands are fine. We're pretty much good. Sure, we can work ahead on other things. But when a new player comes to the board, bad guy means bad. Okay, here's bad guy. I need to get bad guy. There's a lot of bad guys. Oh crap. Yeah. Oh crap. Oh crap.
I think they're attacking every
land. And they get stressed, they get whelmed. And you have to remind them, it's only this land that we have to worry about. Oh. And that makes it so much more manageable because they think they're getting overrun. They think it's like whack-a-mole. Offense, defense, you don't have to teach them anything. They know the value of defense. They know the value of offense. But what about fear? What about control? What about moving people? The value of fear and control isn't going to be super apparent because, dude, you moved a guy away from there. Yeah, but he's still on the board. I don't want him moved. I want him dead.
That's what Sam struggled with the most.
Right. A new person is going to see a guy moved. He's like, okay, I don't want him moved. I want him dead. You know, because we want to scare these guys off our island, right? They need to die. And you're like, I know, but there are some people that can't kill anyone, and they can literally just shuffle people aboard the entire time and win.
So
what?
Are you ready for a curveball?
Yeah.
Here's how I like to teach. I start with the Invader deck conveyor belt. And so this is what's happening on the island.
That's actually not a bad method.
And like they're going to explore, then they're going to build, and they're going to ravage. People are used to this from Settlers or Scythe, where you're almost like a worker placement type thing, sending people out to gain resources. That's where I try and do the what, why, how.
Yep, that's the what for me, because I do what lore, then what game mechanic.
Okay. Yeah,
so it's what, why,
you
how.
start a little bit more with the game mechanic of the bad guys.
I like showing the Invader deck going down the line.
Yep.
And then I'm like, here's how we stop it.
Yep. And that's, for me, I would put that under the designation, under the grouping of basic turn order. So once I've explained to you where we are, what we are, who we are, how does the turn work? Well, we're going to grow up. Then we're going to go and do our fasts. Then the bad guys are going to go, explain what that looks like. Then we're going to go again. Turn is over. Now that I have that, I get into specifics. We grow up. What does that look like? Well, let's examine. Okay, bad guys do their thing. What does that look like? Let's examine. And at that point, you would do the hallway, the Legendary Encounters hallway of cards coming down the line. The conveyor belt.
That game.
No.
It's a good one. That's actually the second time we've talked about it now.
Yeah.
I think we should play it again.
It's good. It's good. So, other helpful things to make the game better or more understandable. The Steam version really does help. Sure, you might not have someone speaking to you, telling you why a thing is happening.
But it'll stop you from doing it wrong.
But what's going to happen is there will be an effect that happens, and it's going to make you look it up. Okay, I know that this happens. I can see it. It's been doing this for 2 turns now, but why? Oh, my card said this happened. There you go. It's a teacher that can do no wrong. Can't make mistakes because it's literally a computer program.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Unless there's like a glitch or
And it
something.
has that lovely undo button.
Yes.
But Laura, you changed somehow. Because the way I have it set up, if it's a randomized event, like you're gaining a power card or see a fear card, I can't undo past that. But you said there's another option?
Yeah, it's the cheating option, so they give you a little asterisk by your
difficulty.
Your difficulty. But I see Steam not so much as me sitting down and like legitimately playing a game, but it was a great way for me to test out new spirits that maybe I was a little afraid of. Because then you could like kind of play the whole fast turn and then go, okay, well, wait, I didn't like that. Let's undo all the way back to picking my power cards and try playing different power cards.
Right, because a different understanding of something that happened would have made you change what you did even back then.
Which, Eric, if you're listening, you guys need to include undo for each separate spirit during the growth phase. Because once I've picked all the cards for one character, I don't want to undo all of those to undo somebody else. It's stupid.
That's true. You've also liked to dabble with scenarios in the Steam version.
Yes.
Hey, they just added England as an adversary.
Ooh.
Did you see that in this past weekend's update?
But England's tough.
Oof.
We like them.
Because we often don't play with scenarios as much.
But like Call to the Dahan Ways, I loved that one. It was really cool.
Guard the Isle's Heart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Call to the Dahan Ways is a power card. But...
Well, I don't remember things, guys.
Dahan Insurrection.
That was it. I knew it had something to do with the Toadstool people.
Laura never makes mistakes.
Ever.
That's a good husband.
Obvious.
Anyway. So, but yeah, playing the Steam version I think definitely helps you get a better understanding. And what I have here, the last final thing on how to make the game better, feel better, teach the game, make it more understandable, is arguably the most important thing. And for me, it is in all caps. Throughout the game, offer helpful input, but do not backseat drive or alpha game for this one. You need to make the player make his own decisions and get the satisfaction for making a plan and executing it. Let them discover and love the game if they want to. You can never force someone to do something. You can't push a rope. Let them pull it instead and let them come to the realization that this game is awesome.
This is why Pandemic has kind of been ruined for me because I had one bad experience of went to a tabletop restaurant, we played Pandemic, and I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Because the experienced player, I wanted to do something. He's like, that's dumb. We're going to lose if you do that. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I would like to point out I was not there.
Laura was not there. It was actually before we were dating. Pandemic's been out for a while.
But I did play it on my birthday and quarterbacked that one. So.
We haven't played Forbidden Island in a long time.
But no,
we don't play that anymore.
Even on the basic sense, you fell in love with the game because you had the opportunity to play and learn from yourself.
I made mistakes with my sacred sites, but you were helpful about it.
Which is more important, your need to get a successful game right now, or have another person discover the game and fall in love with it in the same way that you did? To me, in this specific instance, the latter is infinitely more important than the former. That's why I let some rules slide, like being able to heal a blighted island on someone's first game. Because it's funner if they do that than me going,
technically, you can't do that.
And I just go and,
ruins the game.
So that's, for me, that's why I have it in all caps. Just, that really robs the person of enjoyment a lot of the time. And that's the fun of playing games anyways, to have fun. And when you take that out, that's like the biggest loss.
I think that's why when you played with us for the first time, you made sure it was like an easy board game.
Yep.
We were like, oh, we won. Because you wanted us to have that winning experience. We'd come back and play again.
No blight card. We didn't have the... I completely forgot. One of the house rules we like to have is we like to have a unedited invader deck. Meaning we don't shuffle out a card from stage 1, 2, or 3, but we have all 3 of them in there. And it's not because the game is technically easier. That's why we like it. We like it because the game lasts longer. And that way, it makes it easier for someone, a new person, to learn the system and formula, rhythm of the game.
Though on our 3-player games, that was with a normal deck that I set up.
Yep.
Just letting you
That's
know.
fine.
Well, it's also fun because you get to be big and powerful, and then there's more time to do things big and powerful.
It feels more
But during
rewarding.
our second wave, we played with a full deck, a campaign, I think.
Yeah, well, it was the first time we were playing against England, and they're really tough.
Yeah.
And we had events, so we're like, it's fair.
Yeah.
Was that anniversary day?
But you know what? Oh. We're not here to start a discussion on which one of us, whether us around this table or you guys out there in the Spirit On community, plays the game to its best and who is the best player. The point is having a fun and enjoyable experience, and this is what gets us that experience. So whatever rules you want to use, go for it. This is what we used. This is what we use often, and it's fun, and I love the game. Don't at me.
While we're talking about better experiences and like struggles of new players, I remember really not comprehending Ravaging. And I thought, they fight at the same time. For some reason,
timing, yeah.
The timing was very weird to me where I needed to defend for them and then they counterattack.
Yep.
I thought we have 2 Dahan here doing 4 damage against the city. They're going to wipe it out. No blight, nothing, we're fine.
Yep.
That really took time for me as a new player to comprehend.
This is another reason why, in my opinion, the why helps the what. Because the invaders are more efficient on their military tactics and they have better technology. Because of their tactics, they attack first. Because of their technology, damage is done to both the land and the Dahan. Since the Dahan are outgunned and outmanned in tactics, that's why they always go second. Anyway, that's one of the things that I think is helpful. But it can be hard sometimes because attacking is...
You think they're fine at the same time.
Yeah.
At least I did.
It's that idea of the Dahan don't want to attack, but they're going to fight back.
Right. If they
get shot before they
if they're a cost,
back,
they will retaliate. Right. As normal humans do.
I think that's just a different mindset of thinking of okay, they don't fight at the same time, they counterattack, and we need to defend for them as their spirits of the island.
Yep. I don't want to repeat myself, but you understand it. That's why I think the why really helps the what, because then if they don't remember the what, they can remember the why. What was it? That's what... Okay, I do remember. You did tell me that. That's right. It makes sense. Okay, cool. And they get it.
Still saying if there's too much why, they go dead behind the eyes.
Well, you're not everyone, so...
And make sure everyone reads their player synopsis on the card.
I do think that's helpful because it straight up tells you, hey, this guy sucks at offense. That's fine. If you're not killing people, that new player can feel okay. Why? Because he picked a guy that's low on offense. He saw the bar that said low offense, so he's okay with not doing a whole lot of damage. Because it did say high defense, and he did prevent something, so he feels cool. There's that identity acceptance there with the lore, with the character that they played as.
I remember the first game I played with Shadows, I think I might have discussed this, but I heard someone reading their lightning card. I'm like, oh, this makes sense, lightning's fast. Yeah. Just that little bit of knowledge helped me play.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So one thing that's really fun that I'm super curious about is... What do you guys do to build the atmosphere with this game, to make it more enjoyable? I'm not talking about understanding of rules. Just generally speaking, what do you like to do?
We do like to make a night of it.
We have a house rule where you have to dress like the Dahan, and we all sit around in loincloths.
People can't wait to play with us.
It's very fun.
Check our Instagram for photos.
No! Lies. More lies.
Deceit.
So you guys went really ham with this. You guys actually made your own tokens, made your own presents and reminder tokens, and that's really cool.
We got to give credit. We should have looked up the person, but I think it was on either Reddit or BGG. Yeah. I think it was actually Reddit, where some person posted all their custom tokens. So it wasn't our original idea. And I was showing Laura, late nights in bed reading. Yeah. I was like, hey, isn't this really awesome? This guy.
We can feature your tokens that you made on our Facebook and on our Instagram so people can see what you've done.
And we'll find the guy and we'll put a link to our original inspiration.
But I remember showing him, I wish I could do this because I didn't know what Shrinky Dinks was. Laura, I didn't know.
I had never heard of that product until you guys had brought it up.
Yeah, Shrinky Dinks are like a thin plastic that's see-through, and you draw on it with some sort of alcohol-based marker. If you lightly sand it, you can also use a colored pencil, but it doesn't come out clear. You draw on it, you cut it out, and it can be kind of hard to cut because it's plastic. But then you put it in the oven, and it shrinks down to 1/3 of its size and gets a little bit thicker. So it's no longer cuttable. It's very durable little things.
Have you ever seen those foam figures that start off very small, and when you put them in water, they expand?
It's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite of that. And like Laura said, because they get more dense, they're more durable, not like a plastic sheet of paper. Right. And so we can use them as tokens then.
So what these guys did is instead of just having wooden circular tokens for presents, they have these clear acrylic looking actual designed pictures that it's this little plastic piece.
For lightning, I have a lightning bolt.
Lightning is a lightning bolt. For all the plant dudes, it's various plants.
Leaves,
for
branches.
Fangs, it's actual animals. Yeah. There's a jaguar and stuff. And it's really cool. It really makes the game feel different and more thematic, or at least to them. So
for Finder of Paths Unseen, I thought this was cool because I was really into the video game Portal and Portal 2. So I made those orange and blue portals.
Half of his presence was blue portals. Yeah. The other half was orange portals.
Yeah, so it made sense of me just pushing cities and towns.
So I'm curious what you guys have done. What do you do to build atmosphere for thematic immersion with this game? I'm really eager to hear what you have. That's one thing that these guys did. We also like to play soundtracks.
I was about to say that's what we started doing recently.
And it's pretty simple. There's there's actually on Spotify, if you go and just type in Spirit Island playlist, there are people that actually have made Spirit Island playlists. Whether those are tracks from Horizon Zero Dawn or some other things, I would highly recommend a track called The Egg Travels from Disney's Dinosaur. Works really well for this game if you want to get some hype to it, because that track has a really good crescendo and it's very jungly themed.
Also, any music from the Wambam Island DLC from Borderlands 2. That is WAMBAM. Wambam looks like Wham Bam.
But it's kind of cool.
A lot of soundtracks work, we found too.
Yeah.
A lot of Avatar from the James Cameron one.
Yep.
Lord of the Rings we've done.
A little bit.
So
Yep.
I mean, I'm not a host here, but if you do put together a playlist on Spotify, link it in the comments, because we're always looking for new
that's
ones
true.
that we haven't
point,
played
Laura.
before.
So, and one time we even had we had pad thai and we had
I tried to do a Pacific Island themed dinner as well.
coconut glasses and whatnot. Now, this is definitely unnecessary, but it's something that we like to do. It's fun. It just gets you into the mood for it. It's fun. I'm just curious if you guys do anything similar like
Sometimes
that.
it's hard to get 4 people in a room to play a board game. So
It
when
is.
we're able to find the schedules for 4 adults to do it, we like to make a night of it. And build the lore and the atmosphere. It makes for a better game, I think.
I think so too. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this one. We thank you so much for listening. Laura, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks,
I hope you
baby.
enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed. You can see what us boys are doing in the garage here. We're working our own little thing, but I'm happy to have you back, and anytime you want to come in.
Thank you guys so much for letting me come on and be a little contrarian at you.
Yeah, and you can even listen back to it and be like, oh, yeah, wow, that was me. We did that. Wow, that was so long ago.
Why does my voice sound so weird?
I know, 90% of every person that's ever been on a camera or microphone, when they hear themselves, do I really sound like that?
Yup.
Yes, you do. Anyway, guys, next time we are going to get into analysis.
Ooh.
What are we analyzing? We are getting into arguably our biggest, it's not arguably, it is the biggest, the analysis of each spirit in the game. For now, we're going to keep it to the base 12. We are going to go and look at the spirit's theme, their role, their complexity, their passives, their special rules, their innates, their growth options, their tracks, their builds, various flexibilities, and which one we think is the best. After our analysis, we're going to divulge our tier list.
Ooh.
And I cannot wait to get into that.
Spoilers, they're very different.
They're very different, but that's what you get to look forward to. Until next time, I've been Ryan.
And I'm John.
And I'm Laura.
And we will catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Kindred Spirit Podcast. We appreciate you taking the time to do so. Feel free to visit us on our Instagram and Facebook page. You can find me on our Facebook page at The Kindred Spirit Podcast. To get a hold of John, check out our Instagram page at TheKSP123. We look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in future episodes.